Right. Today we're being joined by Essendon's AFLW player Jessica Wuetschner. Jess, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Finally, we get to
worries.
connect.
No worries, absolutely agree. The nickname Wuetschner, where did that come about? How did that come about?
I think it was just people didn't know how to pronounce my last name, so it just kind of went from there, and then it just kind of stuck, and it sort of moved with me everywhere I've gone since I was like 17, first started playing footy.
So obviously you've had a bit of a journey in terms of the AFL clubs you played. I started all the way back in the Women's League in Perth. So you're originally from Tassie, then went to play in Perth, then played for the Brisbane Lions AFLW. So I won a premiership there, and now at the Bombers. How's the journey been like for moving from state to state about 4 times?
Yeah, I think the more I look back at it, the more I'm kind of proud of like just how far I've gone to get to where I am now. Obviously, like you said, I started in Tassie, as a 17-year-old kid playing a bit of local footy for fun. And then they started the exhibition games in, I think it was 2013. And I was like, it's something that I wanted to aspire to do. So I moved over to Perth to try and do that and was able to do that. And eventually getting picked up by Brisbane to start my AFLW journey. And then, all the way back down here in Melbourne now. So it's been quite a journey.
Absolutely. So how would you say you got into the footy? Like, what was one of the key things that I've got to play this?
I always loved footy. Like ever since I was a kid, I was always, kicking the footy on the field with my friends when I was 4 years old, watching my dad play and things like that. But there was never any junior level football for girls at the time. So it wasn't until I was 17 that I found out that they just started a women's league in Tassie, and a friend of mine just asked me to come and play, and I love the sport, so I thought I'll go give it a crack, and I never looked back. I gave up every other sport that I was playing in the end to play this one. So, that was sort of how it happened.
So who would be an AFL player comparison that we best describe? So obviously play up in the forward line, but who would be the type of example and type of player you would describe yourself as?
Oh, that's tough. I've never really thought about that. I think it depends. Maybe when I was younger, I think maybe, I don't know, kind of like I wouldn't say Surioli because I've never been that nimble and that fast. I don't know. Just my favorite players. My favorite player is Stuart Dew. So I wouldn't say I'm on a comparison with him at all. But I really loved watching Michael O'Loughlin play. He was one of my favorites growing up. So maybe a little bit like him, but a little bit shorter.
That's fair. So just an interesting question. I was trying to think of some different style of questions to ask people. So obviously the AFLW fantasy competition on the AFL app, obviously it's come out now, which you know about. Have you started a team yet?
I have. I've actually, literally the day it came out, I was like, I'm onto this, and started to put my team together. It'll no doubt change over the coming weeks before the season starts. But I'm super excited about it. I love fantasy, and I've wanted to play like women's fantasy since the beginning. So already got a league up and got a few of the girls of the Bombers involved.
That's good.
Got to be a bit of fun.
Now the real question is, did you pick yourself?
I did. But I am on the bench. I did put myself on the bench, so very humble over here.
So have you ever played fantasy or Supercoach before or prior to this women's comp, or is this the first time you're experiencing it? Would you be classed as a rookie, beginner, intermediate, expert?
I gave it a crack last year on a website that was basically made by volunteers. So it was, it was pretty hard to play, but it was a lot of fun to try and get your teams together and stuff like that. I didn't do very well with it. So I'd probably say that I'm still in the intermediate sort of range. Probably pushing towards a bit past that. But it's not something that I've excelled at yet, but it's something that I enjoy.
That's good. Because I just sidetrack for a second. In Supercoach, I've been doing it for a very long time. And last year, I won the weekly prize, which is almost impossible to get. Yeah, there was the round 5. I remember the exact round and everything. I think I scored 2,577 in Supercoach. and won the weekly prize. And thought I won it was an understatement because I had a bunch of people spamming me at the time that obviously the next round opened and told me, and I'm like, they're like, you didn't do this. I said, no, I don't think so. Why? I knew I obviously went well, but I didn't know it'd be that high. But that was a pretty cool moment, and I'd love to do that again. But I doubt I'd ever do that twice. But so who would be the teammate at Essendon or your old club Brisbane that you would feel would be the one that would pick themselves, whether they're a regular player or someone that's on the fringe? Who would be one that would pick themselves? Besides yourself, obviously, as you said, you picked yourself.
Oh yeah, I mean, I picked myself because I was cheap for a start.
Yeah.
Who would pick themselves? Oh, I think. Well, I mean, I don't know if she's going to play, but I think Paige Scott would definitely pick herself. Yeah,
be cheap player on the bench. Then that'd be a interesting selection. Who would be an Essendon player or anyone in the competition in general that you feel that people should keep an eye out on for probably something that's not getting talked about as much as the bigger names that people should keep an eye on, whether it's just for fantasy or just in general?
Yeah, I've probably sung her praises a little bit already, and she's already on my starting lineup in fantasy. I think Mia Bush is going to have a really good year. I think she's going to play a lot of footy, and I think she's going to really start to stamp her foot in the competition. So, yeah, she's probably the number one that's on my brain about that. Yeah,
I'm glad you picked her because she's in my team, so that's a good start for me already.
She's also I'm sure she'll be in a lot of people's team by round 2 for sure.
Yeah, I did see the percentage was percentage owned was pretty high. So obviously you play 47 games currently in the AFLW and 40 goals. You must have loved getting a consistent amount of games and essentially, especially when you're at Brisbane, kicking essentially a goal a game on average per game.
Yeah, I let the average slip a little bit last year at the Bombers, but no, obviously a change in environment, change in role, and we're getting the continuity happening at the club. So, yeah, I didn't score too many goals last year, but yeah, I'm pretty proud of the career that I've been able to, I guess, put together so far. And you're right, like when I was at Brisbane, I was pretty consistent for a goal a game, and that's not really necessarily my priority these days, just kicking goals. It's a lot of other things. It's the team things, the setting up the goals, the leadership in the forward line. So, hopefully I can knock out a couple more games and get to the 50 this year. That'd be nice.
Just some individual athletes, I'm sure people, you don't want to brush it aside. You're two-time leading goal crew when you were at Brisbane in 2018 and 19. You made the All-Australian team in 2018, and obviously you won the premiership of Brisbane in 2021. How was it like winning that premiership with the Brisbane Lion Girls? Obviously, they're a very strong side, and they still are. But how sweet was it to win a premiership with them in that 2021?
Yeah, it was definitely a sweet moment. We obviously experienced 2 grand final losses, and I don't think we could have, handled a third one in a row. So, yeah, obviously it's what everyone strives for when they play AFL football, is to win a premiership, and I'm super grateful that I got to do it with the club that I started with and a club that I love dearly. It was one of the most exciting moments that I've ever experienced in my football career, and something I'll always cherish.
It says when I was reading some stuff online, and it did also say a quote here that in that grand final you kicked 2 beautiful left foot kicks. It was quoted beautiful. Was that a word you used?
I don't know. I think the second one, I wouldn't call it beautiful. I would call it a little bit lucky. But the first one was pretty good. But yeah, no, it was obviously exciting to kick a couple of snags on the big stage, and yeah, I guess it's something that I'll always remember. And that second goal was definitely a bit lucky, but one that I'll certainly cherish.
Now, one moment I just want to bring up, because it was well documented and most recently brought up, was a few weeks before the start of the 2020 season, you were unfortunately struck by lightning. How was that? Obviously, we know the experience for you was very stressful and traumatic and everything like that, but how did you try and cope with that? And obviously, in the moment it happened, and then try and push through. Now, seems now that you're going pretty well with it and moving along with it and playing at Essendon and seem to be enjoying your footy again.
Yeah, it's obviously a pretty traumatic experience, and that's something that I suffered with for a long, long time after that, which is obviously probably something that took a toll on my football at Brisbane. And it just sort of, I guess ended up not being the space that was right for me, and obviously getting
Mm,
delisted, it gave me the opportunity to come down here, and I think that's done a world of good for me and my football and just my general happiness. So, yeah, it took
mm.
a long time for me to move past that and through that, but certainly proud and happy of where I'm at now. So, yeah, really enjoying it.
It's good. So, there's a few final questions before I let you go, Jess. I really appreciate you coming on. How do you think the Bombers are going to go this year? Pushing for finals. Where do you think and hope that you guys or girls can go to this year?
Yeah, I think well, we definitely believe that we have the team and the game plan and the structure and everything to do finals. I think that's kind of the bare minimum of what we want this year. We definitely think the finals are achievable. And of
Mm.
course, we're gonna be trying to strive to head deep into finals. So I think we have the team to do it. And I think that yeah, we certainly have an opportunity with our second year in the competition to be there. So yeah, I think we'll go pretty well.
If there was just one final question for you, if there was one player, any player, whether they're the most experienced or one of the youngest players in the comp, if you could poach any player from another club outside of Essendon, who would it be?
That is a very good question.
Mhm.
Um, uh, Probably Jenna Bruton. I think having her flexibility to play either midfield, forward, or both, and how potent she is, I think she'd be really beneficial on a side like ours. It probably would allow us to chuck Bonnie into the midfield every now and then as well and have her up forward. So, yeah, I think Jenna Bruton would be the one I'd poach.
Jess, I really appreciate you coming on and all the best for the rest of the season coming up for you.
No worries. Thanks. Appreciate your time.
No worries, thank you.